The ability of AI to describe images is really a game changer. The disabled community is one of the largest minorities in the world, that they have a tremendous amount of spending power and that they consume content differently. I think the biggest barrier that they face is the fact that many people who create these products are unaware of how disabled people consume digital content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AI at Scale podcast by Schneider Electric. My name is Tom Kroczak, and today's episode is a special one. First of all, it's special for me because I'm doing this for the first time as the host of this show. More importantly, this episode is special because it will air for the first time on the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, which this year in 2026 happens on May 21st. And most importantly, this episode is a special one because I have the pleasure of hosting our expert guest, Rick Blair, Senior Principal, Digital Accessibility Program Manager at Schneider Electric. Rick, welcome to the show.
Hello, Tom. Thank you very much. I look forward to this episode.
Dear listeners and viewers, Rick has spent several decades in industrial automation and engineering roles, working on system architectures, product architectures, processes, and machines. Beginning in the late 1990s, Rick gradually lost his eyesight. And while continuing to work in technical leadership roles, he increasingly focused on identifying gaps in digital accessibility and championing digital accessibility at Schneider Electric. This experience has led him to helping ensure that we at Schneider continue to keep in mind the importance of inclusive design and compliance with accessibility standards across our digital landscape. Now, Rick, this podcast focuses on stories, experiences, examples told by AI practitioners, illustrating how AI is transforming business, transforming industries, transforming the energy landscape, but also our everyday lives. So my first question to you, Rick, is how do you use AI day to day?
One of the biggest advantages that AI has today is that it can recognize and look at images and describe them. In the past, if I needed to, say, take a package of food and identify what it was, I would have to rely on optical character recognition, which does not do a good job when the fancy fonts used in typical food products are shown. And so now today, I'm wearing a pair of smart glasses, and I can just literally ask these glasses while holding up this package of food, hey, take a picture and describe what I'm holding. And it will do that. And it'll tell me I'm holding up a frozen box of mac and cheese. Next, I can flip it over and say, hey, take a picture and read me the cooking instructions. And it can do that as well. Or if I need the calorie count or anything else. And so the ability of AI to describe images is really a game changer. If I'm out and about and I get my GPS to get me close to a coffee shop that might be in a strip mall, I can then take the glasses and tell it to take a picture and describe what it sees. And it'll tell me that there's a barber shop on the left, there's a coffee shop in the middle, and that there is a comic book store on the right. And so now I can actually find the right door to open.
What are still the things that don't work well enough?
Well, the descriptions of the pictures are not always accurate. I was holding up a can of sparkling water and it told me it was a Dr. Pepper. So it's not perfect yet.
Rick, what are some other examples of how you use AI?
So in my work environment, it has been a really great tool for tempering my email messages. I tend to be a little direct and to the point, and I can have AI give it a little bit of a softer approach, a little bit more personal approach. by changing the tone of my emails. I can use it to draft an initial paper on a certain accessibility topic. For example, if I want to summarize using alternative text as a paper that I can share with my colleagues, I can have AI perform an initial draft, and then I can go in and edit it where I see appropriate to finalize the document. It really helps me save time in creating initial content. I don't think it's ready to create final content, nor do I ever think I want it to create final content, because when I'm writing, I want it to be my words and my thoughts. And so creating meaningful prompts has really been beneficial to having it create content that I can edit and then distribute.
That's clear. Thank you, Rick. So my next question is, when we think about people with disabilities, what are the biggest barriers that they are facing today when it comes to digital tools, platforms, experiences, and digital products?
I think the biggest barrier that they face is the fact that many people who create these products are unaware of how disabled people consume digital content, be it a blind person using a screen reader, or be it someone who has mobility issues and uses only a keyboard, or say eye gaze software to operate a digital interface, or someone who's hearing impaired and can't hear the sounds of a video. And so one of the first challenges is to make people aware that, first of all, the disabled community is one of the largest minorities in the world, that they have a tremendous amount of spending power, and that they consume content differently.
Right. That is very important to remember, Rick. What are some of the examples of how AI is helping remove those barriers, helping people with disabilities solve those everyday challenges?
One of the areas where AI is really having an influence is in the testing for accessibility. Past automated testing solutions would often find only around 30% of accessibility defects, where today's AI-based tools can do upwards of 60%. That's a big change, because that requires now a lot less manual testing. Manual testing is difficult because most times you want to make sure you're doing that testing with disabled people. And many organizations do not have a lot of people that identify as having a disability.
So if I were to sum up our today's conversation, accessibility and AI work hand in hand. AI can help remove barriers, but it must be based and implemented on awareness. And this is what the Global Accessibility Awareness Day is all about. Accessibility is not about just technology. It's about people. To hear more from Rick on this topic, listen to the full episode where he talks about his personal experience and shares advice on how to integrate accessibility in digital design. Simply use the link below or head over to your favorite streaming platform for more.